The Nintendo Switch has a ton of big RPGs. I've counted down multiple ones when it comes to action RPGs, when it comes to strategy RPGs, when it comes to turn-based or traditional RPGs. There's all sorts of stuff, but throughout all the big games that are coming out, there are some hidden gems that slip through the cracks. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at 13 big hidden gem Nintendo Switch RPGs. If you like content like this and want to see me do it more, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos first. Now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right into it. And we're starting off with some fan favorites, and that is Valkyria Chronicles and Valkyria Chronicles 4. Now these two games are some of the best strategy RPGs I have ever played in my life. They are fantastic. Sega is the developer behind these, and what makes this interesting is that it's a strategy RPG similar to like a Fire Emblem, but then they give you the ability to move around and you have like a meter that goes down as you move around before you do your attack. Now you have your classic different classes in a combat or war-based strategy RPG. You have long-range gunners, you have snipers, you have short range, you have grenadiers, you have a tank, you have all sorts of cool stuff to dispatch your foes, and it's very strategic and fun. And both of these games are great. They have fantastic stories, really cool hand painted or like color paint visuals. I love everything about Valkyria Chronicles and Valkyria Chronicles 4. The only problem is that Valkyria Chronicles 2 and 3 aren't on the Nintendo Switch and other platforms when it comes to modern systems. So hopefully Sega changes that. But in the meantime, you can't really go wrong with Valkyria Chronicles and Valkyria Chronicles 4. Next up is Indivisible. Now this game is really cool because recently we had Valkyria Elysium come back after a decade or so, the Valkyrie Profile series, but they changed it up to an action RPG, and it didn't quite sit well with all the critics and fans out there. But if you want a game that played like the old school Valkyrie Profile, where you have a different person or fighter that's mapped to each face button and you can do different attacks and you have to strategically plan out your battles while doing some platforming and other things, then Indivisible is the game for you. And it's a ton of fun. I mean, it's one of those games to me that has that old school inspired style but has great visuals as well. Very smooth on any platform that you're playing it on, and I think that it'll be a lot of fun, kind of the in-between game between the big titles and the smaller ones. So if you're hanking for some old school Valkyrie Profile action or want to try something just a bit different when it comes to RPGs on Switch, check out Indivisible. Next game up is Crosscode, and this game is absolutely amazing. One of the best rated and playing independent games on the Nintendo Switch. You've got playtime from around 30 to 80 hours. It's a big independent game. You have 7 large worlds, unique areas. You've got a ton of secrets. One of my favorite things in this game is just exploring all around. It gives me that old school vibe from the Super Nintendo era and everything. Bunch of dungeons to go through. There's all sorts of combat arts and passive skills and 100 quests or so, man. Like, there's a lot of variety. There's a lot of cool stuff in this game. And one more thing that I wanted to mention with Crosscode, the story is fun and interesting, but the music is very quirky and weird and great too. So definitely check out Crosscode on the Nintendo Switch if you haven't done so already. Next up is Ys Origin. Now, Ys Origin is a phenomenal game that often gets overlooked because we're getting some of the new Ys games on the Nintendo Switch. Ys 8 Lacrimosa of Dana, one of the best action RPGs on the platform. Ys 9 as well. They're going to continue making new Ys games. But if you go all the way back to Ys Origin, what you're going to find here is a very competent action RPG with various different characters that you can use, each with their own skill sets, lots of different varied environments as well, multiple story modes for this enhanced version of the game where you can have speed running and arena modes and time attack in addition to the regular story, which the story is really good. And if you're keeping up with the Ys timeline, you definitely want to check out this one. Or if you want to get into the Ys games, this is a fantastic place to start because I feel that the art in the game, the artifacts, and kind of what you can do like with the relics and everything that you obtain in this game when it comes to upgrading your character and progressing through the game, and the boss fights is just incredible. So Ys Origin, keep that on your hidden gem list. Next up is Sakuna of Rice and Ruin, and this is a farming simulator. Not that you guys can't get enough of those on the Nintendo Switch already, but it's part farming simulator, part action side-scrolling combat, and it's a very fun and smooth game. I love the combat in the game. I think that the different skills that you can get, the abilities, the controls all fit really well, and you find yourself going from these 2D action parts into these farming parts pretty seamlessly when it comes to gathering resources, when it comes to the story, when it comes to the combat and exploring. It kind of just flows from one thing to another. So if you're into these combat slash farming sims on the Nintendo Switch, Sakuna of Rice and Ruin might be the best one on the platform. Next up, we've got a double pack of Ni no Kuni love, because Ni no Kuni 1 and also Ni no Kuni 2 are both fantastic RPGs on the Nintendo Switch that kind of vary things up in different ways that other games haven't really done on the Nintendo Switch. So one thing that I absolutely love about the original Ni no Kuni is the combat system, the art style, and the story. This game has a story, combat, and art that you just don't see a lot. Studio Ghibli did a great job with the game, but the combat is very fun, mixing between your creatures that you send out and also using the main character to attack in addition to other characters as well. It's just a ton of fun. You're going to find yourself being sucked into this world and constantly playing, tinkering with different things, trying out different monsters, kind of getting different abilities and weapons, armor, and equipment. It doesn't look very fierce, but the story is actually pretty serious, and it gets kind of crazy and twists and turns all over the place. And the same can be said about Ni no Kuni 2, although that's more of a core action RPG. Some people think it's not quite as good as Ni no Kuni 1, but they're both really good and definitely both hidden gems on the Nintendo Switch. If you're looking for a unique and awesome action RPGs that kind of try different things out, check out Ni no Kuni 1 and also Ni no Kuni 2. Next up is a very tantalizing and interesting game. It's one of the highest rated games on this list that I have here with the 85 Metacritic, and also one of those games that just refuses to go down in price because they didn't print a lot of copies, so watch out for the rare games when it comes down to it. But Undernauts, Labyrinth of Yomi for the Nintendo Switch, and this game is so interesting. When I was playing it, I constantly was like, man, what's going to happen next in this? But I wanted to talk to you guys about this one because this game, or this place that you're in, is a dungeon filled with all sorts of gold and riches and things for you to collect, and you've essentially been recruited in order to get that from there. You are a team, and the team is called the Undernauts. Now, you're brave subterranean adventurers who go through these tombs and these dungeons and these depths in order to get these riches. But of course, if you're going to go through all of that, there's definitely going to be a lot of danger there because, you know, not everybody is signing up for that. There's a ton of monsters in these labyrinths, and you need to kind of go through, take out these monsters, collect these riches, and somehow find a way back. Now, you're going to have a bunch of different magic items to use, skills, you can create your own exits, and you can do all sorts of stuff, but you gotta reach the surface alive. So there's also kind of like survival elements in there as well, and I really enjoyed my time playing this game, but it was just so awkward and unique while I was playing it. And the cast of characters that you have too is pretty cool as well. So if you're looking for a monster labyrinth type of game that's very unique with a good story and a very weird but good story, I think you should check out Undernauts, Labyrinth of Yomi on the Nintendo Switch. Next up is Metal Max Xeno Reborn. Now, this is one of the lower rated games on the list, and it might be one of those you love it or hate it type of games, but I'm including it on this list because it does things that a smaller budget game doesn't necessarily try to do. Usually you would see an art style that'd be like maybe a 2D art style or something if they're trying to make a game this expansive, but this is a full 3D budget style RPG. So you're gonna have a open world or open-ended areas. You have tank traversal. You also have different dune buggies that you can use, and the game seamlessly transitions from that to turn-based battles. So it's very interesting. You're going to have upgrades, you're going to have different gadgets to collect. But the cool thing in this game is that you can actually go around and find survivors. Since it is post-apocalyptic or wasteland, you have to find these survivors, but they're not useless. You're not just feeding them and sheltering them and getting some type of point total, but you can actually use these people to fight against in the resistance, and they all have their own skill trees. So finding the best survivors and using them is going to be key, especially if you're playing it on the harder difficulties. And there's one that I really want to talk about, and it's on the cover too, which is my man, Battle Dog Poochie. So yes, Battle Dog Poochie is back from the previous games, and obviously man's best friend with the dog here. He's got a gun strapped to his back, so you got to give some love to the Battle Dog Poochie. So if you're looking for a different mix-up, maybe you don't want to play the biggest open world RPGs on the Nintendo Switch and you want something that's a little bit more budget, but then also has some pretty cool ideas in there, check out Metal Max Xeno Reborn on the Nintendo Switch. Next up is Digimon Survive, and I know that Digimon is a big franchise and people have heard about it, and the game's actually doing pretty well when it comes to the NPD sales. It was in the top NPD sales, it was in the NPD for Nintendo Switch sales as well, overall and Switch. But I'm putting it on this list because a lot of people don't actually know what Digimon Survive is, because the game was delayed a million times and some people just forgot about it. But Digimon Survive is part visual novel, part strategy RPG. The split is about 70-30, so there's going to be a lot of talking and a lot of choosing different paths and a lot of all of that with a phenomenal story, but then also strategy RPG combat mixed into there. And the strategy RPG combat is really good in the game, but the game actually has a lot of replay value and a story that people find to be one of the best, if not the best story in a Digimon game, because of the multiple paths that you can take and the fact that this game is like tragic. There are some bad things that can happen. This is not a happy-go-lucky type of game, so you're going to have some type of emotions that are running high based on what you actually choose, and going back and seeing what is different in this visual novel slash strategy RPG can be really fun, which is why I think that Digimon fans are kind of eating this game up. But it could be great for someone else as well that wants a great story and wants to get immersed in a little bit different style of strategy RPG, where gameplay is more of the focus usually of these strategy RPGs, of course with great stories, but gameplay is such a heavy part of it, whereas this one, it's more about the picking and choosing of your options and everything and seeing what's going on from a story perspective, then also having that extra layer of combat to break up what a typical visual novel would be. So check out Digimon Survive. Even if you're not into Digimon, you might want to check this one out. Next up is The Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero. And I think anytime that I get the opportunity to talk about this game, I'm going to talk about it, because this might be one of the best RPGs on the Nintendo Switch that need to do a lot better than what it is. Now, I know that it's selling pretty good, but I feel that this game can do even better if more people hear about it, because this game has everything that you would want in a RPG. It has a great cast of characters, it has a fantastic story, it's got all sorts of secrets, it's got great armor, weapon customization, levels. The game is packed and loaded with content, and it's very good, and it's beautiful on the Nintendo Switch with the old school retro style graphics being brought back for a new age. Very smooth. So The Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero, if you can find a physical copy of it, I highly suggest picking it up. I think it's a phenomenal game, or of course if you want to get it digital just so you can play it easy, but any way that you can get your hands on this game, definitely check it out on the Nintendo Switch. And last but definitely not least is TUNIC, and this is the highest rated game on our list here. TUNIC has a ton of cool things about it. It's got really cool boss fights, varied environments, and if you're into the Legend of Zelda and Dark Souls inspired style combat and exploration, TUNIC is the game for you. It's very easy to pick up and play. It looks silly, but it gets very serious. There's some crazy bosses in here. There's tons of secret relics to collect, techniques, puzzles, all sorts of stuff to help you on your way, different things that you can get to access other areas. Exploration is big and key here with the treasures to discover. So I highly recommend, if you are into games of The Legend of Zelda, if you're into even Souls games, if you're into the old school action RPGs, TUNIC should be a game that you should check out on the Nintendo Switch right now. So those are my 13 big hidden gem Nintendo Switch RPGs. Are there any games that you would like me to check out that are hidden gems when it comes to RPGs, action games, or more on the Nintendo Switch? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.